Okay, guys, can you see this board?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right. So in the last class, we discussed that divergence theorem, Stokes theorem, and there is one more theorem which is called fundamental. Let me see if it has any name. I think this does not have any name. Yes, fundamental theorem for gradients. So we have already discussed divergence theorem, Stokes theorem. So what does this say? It's quite easy theorem. I mean, let us say we are going from some point. Yes.
कल हमें डीएस वेक्टर को डिफाइन करना रह गया है.
Okay, right. And as well as this. So let us say we have some surface. This is some surface, okay, and this is some very small elementary area. The magnitude is ds, and the direction, it is perpendicular to the surface, and there are two possible values. One is this, other is on the other side, and the answer is both directions are allowed. Not only this, what about this dl? dl is the integral on this loop. So either you can go anti-clockwise, means like this direction, or you can also go clockwise, means this direction. Okay. So here also and some of you answered correctly last time. When you use Stokes theorem means this over the loop. These two directions are connected. I mean, there is a convention between these two vectors, and accordingly we choose them in pair. दोनों arbitrary move नहीं करते हैं. They are always connected. What is the connection? Same right hand rule. Right hand rule means, let us say this is the loop in the plane of board. Okay. If you are taking dl to be anti-clockwise, then corresponding ds, Now ds cannot be arbitrary. एक बार आपने ds चूज कर लिया खुद से, ds is not arbitrary. ds is equal to what? So if fingers are showing the direction of rotation, then thumb will show the direction of ds. So ds is, do you understand this symbol?
Enclose.
Yes, sir.
Coming outward.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Coming outward or inward depends on how do you define. Coming towards us. Okay. So it is coming from the other side to this. Similarly, if you choose DL to be clockwise, then DS is again perpendicular to what? Going away from us. Do you know how do we get these symbols? These are tip of arrow. Tip of an arrow means, let us say this is arrow. So this is the head of the arrow and this is the tail of the arrow. There are four like this. Guys, can you give me just 1 minute? So sorry guys. So if this arrow is coming towards you, what will you see? This head. And when do you see from this head version, when arrow is straight coming towards you, what will you see? Just dot. I mean this, the precise head of this arrow, only a dot. If arrow is going away from you, what will you see? The tail part. Tail part means if you see it from the behind, all you will see these two crossings. So that's how the definition of these two directions come. Okay. So in this case, the arrow is coming towards us, and in this case, arrow is going away from us. So if you take DL to be negative, let us say DL to be clockwise, you will also get a negative sign on the left hand side as well. So either you will put positive sign on both sides or you will put negative sign on both sides. Your answer will always be same. Now you may ask one question. Let us say you are solving some physics problem, and in that problem you encounter a surface integral over a open surface, and there is no integral on the boundary. What will you do then? आप फिजिक्स प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व कर रहे हैं, ओपन सरफेस पे इंटीग्रल तो है बट करस्पॉन्डिंग बाउंड्री पे कोई इंटीग्रल नहीं है. What will happen in that case?
सर इसमें इमेजिनरी बाउंड्री हम बना लेंगे.
Let me answer. It is not possible that in any physics problem you get a surface integral but not a line integral. It automatically appear in any form. Let me give you one example. Physics is always consistent. Faraday law. What is Faraday law? The induced EMF is equal to
minus d phi by dt.
Flux. Right? What is flux? So this is some coil or loop. This is a small area And how much is the flux passing through this?
E dot.
Vector times the corresponding surface vector. Flux passing through this complete loop is the integral over the surface, and take a time derivative. Let me put it inside. Okay. So this is a surface integral. What is this? This is the induced EMF. Due to this EMF, a current is flowing in the circuit, either anti-clock or clock. Let me put anti-clock for now. So there is an electric field around the loop. And how do we define this EMF? The line integral of this electric field. So it always like this. Whenever you have a integral over the surface on an open surface, automatically you will also have one more integral on the boundary. It has to come. ये ऐसा नहीं है कि एक इंटीग्रल आएगा दूसरा नहीं आएगा. Any doubt here? Now the fundamental.
यहाँ पे
Yes.
सर वहाँ पे बी की जगह ई आएगा ना सर?
No, not necessary.
ओके
But if you but let me tell you. But let me tell you.
जीरो होता है क्लोज.
This is true with some plus or minus sign. The curl of E is equal to this with some plus minus sign. I mean, I did not write it correctly. Minus is there. I think this is the answer. So Stokes theorem is also always valid. Whatever is here, curl of that has to be on the right hand side. So del cross E is equal to rate of change of magnetic field. This equation will come maybe after 1 month. This is in your syllabus, so don't worry about it. We will discuss the Faraday law in detail. This is quite easy. There is nothing to worry about. Let us say this is one point P1. This is another point P2. You are going from P1 to P2 by some like this path. Okay. We have some function. Let us say f. Okay. F can be a function of x, y, z, r, theta, phi. You put whatever definition you want to put. So this is point x1, y1, z1. This is point x2, y2, z2. What is this integral? From point P1 to point P2. So integral of df is simply f. Put value P2, P1. So f calculated x2, y2, z2 minus f x1, y1, z1. Right? How do I write df? df can also be written as, we have already discussed, df is the change in the function, which is equal to how much? Gradient of f dot dr or dl. Let us put dr. If you move along this direction, dr direction, then this much is the change. Change is given by this formula. Let us put this formula here. So integral from one point to other point, gradient f dot dr is equal to f at point P2 minus f at point P1. So it is just the redefinition of integration in 3 dimension. इसका 1D वर्जन आपने 10+2 से पढ़ा हुआ है. What is the 1D version? dx some x1 to x2 is how much? x2 minus x1. It is just the extended version of the same thing. Now this function can travel in 3 dimensions. So this is fundamental theorem for gradient. Because gradient calculates the change in 3 dimensions. So this is the most generalized version of this one-dimensional thing. So with this we have completed the vector calculus part. Part of it you already know, the coordinate systems, and here we discuss in detail the vector version of the same thing. Statics. Or in more details, so electrostatic is all about when charges are fixed at their position, they are not moving. In that case, what kind of field or what kind of force do they produce? That study comes under the part of electrostatic. So one such phenomena is electric field, right? So when charges are not moving, they produce electric field, and when they are moving, then if we have moving charges, then what will happen?
Magnetic field along with electric field.
Yes, then they have both electric as well as magnetic. So static charges are part of electrostatics, and the dynamic charge becomes a part of electromagnetics or electrodynamics. And that's why you have heard this name electromagnetic waves, and you have heard electromagnetic in various contexts. So first we are dealing with the simplest part. So no magnetic field is there, only electric field is there. So this is some charge Q, and because of this charge, it creates a kind of environment around it. There is something you cannot see it, you cannot realize it directly, but because of the presence of this charge, an invisible thing is there. And when you put another charge, let us say Q2, somewhere in the surrounding of this charge, this Q2 charge gets some force, okay, in this direction, in this direction. And this force F is obviously proportional to Q times E. This E is called electric field. So when you put a charge anywhere in the universe, it creates a field, and that field is defined by E. And if you put another charge in this field, that charge will get some force, and that force can be given. Once you know the electric field, you can calculate that force also. The force has to be, sorry, Q2E. A force on F2 is Q2 times E. And this E is obviously produced by this charge Q. If I put 1 here, then it is 1 here also. So this E1 is generated by this Q1. And because of this E1, this charge Q2 is getting force, which is equal to F2. What is this E1? It's a vector quantity. Given by so this E is a प्रिंसिपल ऑफ सुपरपोजिशन। क्या होता है ये, किसी ने पढ़ा इससे पहले?
यस सर।
क्या है डेफिनेशन?
हाँ सर, डेफिनेशन नहीं पता, लेकिन इसका जो इफेक्ट है वो खत्म नहीं होता। अगर दूसरा इलेक्ट्रिक फील्ड आता है तो इन दोनों का ऐड होगा, वेक्टर ऐड, लेकिन इसका इफेक्ट जो रहेगा वो हमेशा रहेगा सर। ऐसा ही होता है।
सुपरपोजिशन सिंपली मींस
बोल सकते हैं कि मल्टीपल वेक्टर्स को ऐड कर सकते हैं।
right, or I mean, let me tell you the very basic definition of superposition. Let us say these are two particles. They are correlated. They are correlated means they are communicating with each other. Communicating means if you disturb this particle, this will automatically disturb. Okay, there is some sort of like invisible force. Something is there, you cannot see, but they are somehow talk to each other. Their conversation cannot be affected by presence of this third particle. Okay, whatever is the effect of A on B, that effect cannot be perturbed by the presence of C. Okay, so A, we will keep communicating in the previous style. What is the effect of C? C will also set some connection with A. C will also set some connection with B. So net effect on B is now can be calculated as is equal to effect due to A, because it is not disturbed, it is same as before, plus due to C. So that is the property of superposition principle. जरूरी नहीं है कि हर जगह सही हो. For instance, let us say electric field due to charge 1 is proportional to Q1 square. मान लेते हैं ऐसा होता है, ऐसा होता नहीं है वैसे. In that case, electric field will not follow superposition principle. Let me tell you. Let me show you. Let us say this is charge Q1. Electric field here is at this point P is how much? Some constant times Q1 square. Now I remove this. I put charge here Q2. What is the electric field here? K Q2 square. And if I put both the charges, then यदि मैं दोनों charges यहाँ पर रख दिए तो Q1 is there, Q1 is also there. How much is the electric field here? This much. But if both the charges are there, then electric field should be this, right? Are they equal? नो। सो ऐसा नहीं है कि सुपरपोजिशन प्रिंसिपल एक नेचुरल प्रिंसिपल है. देयर आर मेनी physical quantities which do not follow superposition principle. So the quantity which does not follow
Sir.
superposition, yes.
Sir, could you please explain this again, that how does it not follow superposition if it is proportional to q square?
See, when only q is there, then what is the electric field? Only q1 is there. Something like this. Only q2 is there. E2 is at the same point is this much. If superposition principle is true, then if both are there and superposition principle is true, यदि superposition principle अभी भी सही है, then E can be given by this, right? But you obviously know, if E is proportional to Q square, what is the total charge now? Q1 is here, Q2 is here. What is the electric field here? Total charge is Q1 plus Q2. So what is the electric field here? And obviously, right? And these quantities are not equal. There is a cross term here. So superposition principle is an experimental fact. किसी ने experiment किया, electric field का nature check किया, and surprisingly, it comes out to be that it follows superposition principle. So superposition principle कोई demand नहीं है, कोई natural rule नहीं है जो हर जगह सही होगा. In some cases it is true, in some cases it is not true. Okay. Although ऐसे cases बहुत कम है जहाँ पे true नहीं है, so it look like a natural law, but ये कोई natural law नहीं है. So it's a good thing. I mean, you are lucky that electric field comes out to be following superposition principle. Otherwise, life would be very difficult. I mean, if you are not getting this thing, don't worry, because you don't have to go into
Sir,
that.
got it.
Sorry?
Got it. Thank you. Sir.
Sorry.
Got it. Thank you. Sir.
Okay, all right. So this is the definition and formula of electric field. ये आपने पहले भी पढ़ा है. Nothing new here. How to represent it? One answer is in the same way as we represent vector. How do we represent vector? Like this. What is the meaning of this length? Magnitude. What is the meaning of this tip?
Direction.
So since electric field is a vector quantity, we can use the same definition. Although there is no such problem with this definition, but electric field is not simply a vector. It's a vector field. Vector field means, let us say this is the charge, some positive charge here. There are infinite numbers of vectors. Electric field is here, although the magnitude is quite high. It is here also. It is here also. It is here. Okay. So you will have to draw infinite vectors. Obviously their length is decreasing as you go away from the charge. जैसे सब charge से दूर जा रहे हैं, the length of this vector is decreasing. Let us say I want to see what is the electric field here. Then what will I do? Draw one more vector with a slightly smaller length. Now it is overlapping with the previous vector. So I can use this definition, but as you can see, it is not very feasible. What is the alternate way? What is the meaning of this? So electric field can be defined in this technique by this. This is some charge Q. Okay. And how do I define electric field now?
Surface charge density.
So let me draw some lines from here, radially outward. I can draw any number of line. जितना ज़्यादा draw करेंगे, image उतना accurate होगा. And you can put some arrow if you want. If it is positive charge, this is as an electric field. What is the magnitude now? Now these are the infinite lines. They are going to infinity. Okay. So each line is of infinite length. How do I define magnitude? Density of lines. Direction. Shown by arrow. So direction is still shown by the arrows. Now what do we mean by this quantity? Density of lines. So you can see from here. So how do I calculate density of line? For instance, this is a 2D figure. 2D figure means density of lines means numbers of lines per unit length. So I am going to draw a cross-sectional line of 1 centimeter. How many lines I am getting here? Let us say this is 1 centimeter for completeness only. How many lines I am getting here? 1, 2, 3, 4. So electric field is proportional to 4 here. Okay. If I go here in the same length, it is still the 1 centimeter. How many lines I am getting here? 3. So E is proportional to 4 units. E is proportional to 3 units. Yes.
Sir, are you drawing any lines, sir? I cannot see. Only one line is there.
Is it? Let me reconnect. There may be some problem.
No, sir, it is visible.
No, sir, it is visible.
Yes, sir, it is visible. We are able to see.
Yes, sir.
Okay, can you see now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Visible, sir.
Okay, good. So you can see I draw a length of 1 centimeter at 3 places. In the beginning, the same length is covering 4 lines. So electric field is proportional to 4 units. Okay. Here it is proportional to 3 units. Here it is proportional to 2 units. Okay. So what we see, the density of lines are now can be used to define magnitude. And direction is still shown by the arrows. So this is another approach to show vector field. And this approach is much more convenient much more accurate than the previous one. By the way, what is the behavior of electric field in 2D diagram using this figure? I mean, what is the how much line I will see with respect to radius, with respect to distance from the center? Numbers of lines and distance from center. Is there any connection between these two? Obviously, number of lines are inversely proportional to this, but it is equal to 1 upon r square, or what?
1 upon
R square.
r square.
This is a 2D diagram.
Okay. Then
So question is, let me repeat my question. This is the center. Some charge is there Q. These are the vector field lines. Okay. Numbers of lines per unit length. Let us say n. So what is the formula for, or what this n are proportional to? I mean, जैसे जैसे आप आगे बढ़ेंगे, if you go away from the center, numbers of lines per unit length किस तरीके से डिक्रीज होंगी?
लेंथ के इंक्रीज होने से बाय इंक्रीमेंट ऑफ लेंथ.
Let me make a circle here. What is the perimeter of the circle? If this radius is r1,
2 pi r.
how many lines it is catching? Total numbers of lines, let us say n naught. So what is the numbers of lines per unit length here? Okay, this is n at a distance r1. Let me make another circle. The radius is now r2. How many lines are covered by the perimeter of the circle? Same numbers of lines.
Constant. Yes, sir.
Numbers of lines per unit length now at a distance at r2. What do you see?
So they are all constant.
So numbers of lines per unit length is proportional to 1 by r in 2D.
Sir,
Right? Yes.
but the same lines are covering, no, sir.
Right. So NR means numbers of lines per unit length. यहाँ पे यूनिट लेंथ में कितनी लाइंस आ रही हैं? यहाँ पे कम लाइंस आएंगी, यहाँ पे ज्यादा आएंगी. Right?
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Right? You will get, let us say, 100 lines here, but not all 100 will be from this r is equal to r2. यहाँ पे लाइन कुछ कम आएंगी. So how do they decrease? They decrease as 1 by r if you are in 2D. If you are in 3D, then
R square.
right, because n naught lines are crossing. So in 3D, nr actually means numbers of lines per unit area now.
Area.
So n naught upon 4 pi r square are the lines at a distance r. For nr is proportional to 1 by r square. By the way, electric field is also, if I show electric field by the same convention, it is also 1 by r square. It means what? ये जो diagram आप बना रहे हैं, that is valid when you make a 3D diagram. जो आप 2D बना रहे हैं, that is not the right approach. But for convenience only, we usually draw a 2D diagram, although it is not correct. If you are trying to show a electric field, vector field in a 2D on a 2D sheet, your approach is not right, because in that case you will get a 1 by r behavior. So actually you should make a 3D diagram, but since that is very difficult, we stick to this incorrect convention. But whenever possible, make a 3D vector field diagram if you want to be accurate. So we have this equation, vector E is this. What is r here? This is r cap, right? R cap is the direction. कोई कोऑर्डिनेट तो हमने डिस्कस किया नहीं है. So what is the coordinate system that we use here? It was something like this. We put charge at the origin and we are calculating field at this point. This distance is r and therefore this vector is r cap, right? For this kind of coordinate, for this kind of setup, this is the electric field. Let me have some general setting. General setting means this is a coordinate system. Any coordinate system that you can choose, x, y, z or r, theta, phi, whatever you prefer. Charge is here at some point P0 and I want to calculate electric field at this point P. What is the formula now? Easy hai. So let me first give some name to this position. This is vector r. This is the point. Okay. This is vector r. This is some other vector. Let me say r prime. Okay. And what is the direction of electric field now? If charges are here, this is plus q charge. Then what is the electric field at P? It is proportional to this distance. And what is the direction? In this direction, right? So let us write it. 1/4 pi epsilon naught. Charge is q. कहाँ पर है? r prime पर. How much is this vector? इसकी लेंथ कितनी होगी? Agree? Right? And what is the unit vector now? Okay, so let me put it like this. What is r cap? So this is vector r. So vector r is this. Okay. And what is r cap? Or I can also write q at r prime divided by, this is actually r square. Let us say I have two charges. यदि एक चार्ज और है, let us say here. Yes. Sorry. I can't hear you very clearly. माइक के पास आके बोलिए. Or you can write down in your chat. I can read from here also. Any doubt here?
No, sir.
I mean, I just redefined the same equation. This is true when you assume charges are at origin. That's why you write it very casually. If charges are not at origin, we just have to redefine it. We need to know where is the charge. We need to know where do we want to calculate the field. And once we know these two, we can use the same formula, right? So r prime corresponding to the location of charge. Vector r defines the position of the point where you want to calculate the field. So vector E is actually at r. Electric field at this position is given by this formula. Just a mathematical setup, nothing to worry about it here. What else is there in your syllabus? Okay, Gauss theorem.
Sir,
Yes.
in that previous page,
Yes.
why that r cap is r? You have denoted something. Can you show?
You mean about this line?
Why this r prime bar is coming, sir?
R prime vector is coming from. You mean this?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let me explain this part, then it will be very clear to you. This is some object. Okay. It's a big object. It's not a point source. And there is a charge everywhere. I mean, it's a charged body. And I want to calculate electric field at this point P. So P is actually vector R. Vector R means this line. So how do I locate P? Using its position vector, vector R. How do I define this object? So this object consists of many small charges. So for object, let us say charge density is rho. Okay. Charge density constant hai, then it's just a number. If charge density is not constant, then it may changes for different point. Then it is a function of the position r prime. What is r prime? R prime is any position in this object. Okay. So there is a small volume here, and the position of that small volume is r prime. What is the electric field at this point P due to this whole body? कैसे लिखेंगे आप? So electric field due to this small volume element कितना होगा? Vector E is equal to 1/4 pi epsilon naught. कितना चार्ज है इस छोटे से एलिमेंट में? Rho is the charge density at that point. V prime dV prime is the volume of such a small piece. This is the charge in such a small volume. What is the electric field due to this small charge at this point P? That is actually equal to the distance of this charge from this point P, right? And let me say that this is given by R. Okay. So divided by magnitude R square. What is the direction of electric field due to this small piece? In this direction.
R cap.
R cap, right? But this is electric field due to this small piece, right? I want to know electric field due to this full body. So now let me take another small piece. So what I am changing? I am changing this R prime, right? Now this is new R prime. This is new R prime. Let me put it here. Okay. And I again have to calculate new position vector. So what is the complete electric field due to this complete object? Integral over dv prime. So what is the constant vector here? This is constant. No, this is not constant. This is a constant. Okay. Vector r is constant. R prime is a variable vector now, right? And vector r, ये क्या है? ये है. Since this is constant, this is variable, this is also a variable. So it's just a mathematical way of writing the equation for big objects. Okay. इसको कैसे सॉल्व करेंगे फॉर ए रियल केस वो डिस्कस करेंगे अभी. It is just for the completeness only. I have given you the mathematical version of the electric field for any arbitrary shape. dv prime कैसे डील किया जाएगा? How do you define the limits of such a shape? We will discuss later. But this is the mathematical framework to define electric field for any general object. Gauss law. What is Gauss law? This is some charge Q, right? And when you place a charge somewhere, it creates electric field that can be given by the some numbers of lines. You can draw as many as you want. Okay. how many, let me put a closed surface around it. So it is actually a spherical surface. Okay. How many lines are passing through this surface? Is equal to, if electric field is E, then the numbers of lines passing through the surface is this quantity. E is the numbers of lines per unit area. So let us say we focus on such a small area, this one. Let us say this has area ds. Electric field is numbers of lines passing per unit area. Multiply with ds, numbers of line passing through this ds area. If you integrate it over the whole surface, this is the total numbers of lines passing through this whole surface, which is actually the electric field. This is equal to, obviously electric field is proportional to charge. This thing is equal to the charge inside this surface Q divided by epsilon. This is Gauss law. ये पढ़ा है आपने इससे पहले?
Yes, sir.
किसने नहीं पढ़ा है, प्लीज रेज योर हैंड. किसी ने भी नहीं पढ़ा है, प्लीज फील फ्री टू टेल मी. देयर इज, आई मीन प्लीज डोंट बी अफ्रेड दैट कि मैंने अकेले ने नहीं पढ़ा, बाकी सबने पढ़ रखा है. ऑलराइट. Bharat Kumar, sir, the field seems to have some problem. What kind of problem? So please write down your question in detail. I'll answer in the next class. So electric flux, E dot ds, this integral over the whole surface is the electric flux passing through that surface is always equal to the charge enclosed by the surface, जितना भी charge surface के अंदर है, divided by epsilon naught. What is this quantity?
हाँ
Yes.
नेट हम लोग नेट क्लास है सर.
You have next class.
यस सर.
Our time was there. Okay, so let me end here. And Bharat Kumar, I'll answer your problem in the next class. Please, that's our time was there in the numerator. Okay, I'll see that also if there is a problem.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
थैंक यू सर.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Sir,
Yes.
so please share the notes as well, yesterday's also.
Okay, I'll do it.